Chris, and this is a little show we like to call
The Brothers of Broad Street.
Welcome back, everyone, to episode 2. Chris, and it's been a while since we've posted.
Yes, it has
Guys,
been.
thank you for being patient with us. We've had a lot going on in the world of sports and a lot going on in the world of the NFL. So we're going to take a step back, and we're going to look at the whole offseason for the Philadelphia Eagles amongst the power rankings of the NFL going into the 2020 season, and as well as our playoff predictions for the 2020 season. A big reason why we got together, Chris, we've finally reached the mark. 3 months or 90 days from today, the NFL season gets underway, bro. Can you believe it's already
that is
90
exciting.
days?
I cannot wait for football. It seems like so long ago was the Super Bowl, yet it feels like yesterday at the same time.
The pandemic for that one.
Yeah, exactly. I cannot wait for football. I really hope there's fans. Even if there's not, there's a lot to talk about here, Nick. We are going to talk about the offseason overview. We'll be talking about the draft, who we lost, who we got throughout the offseason. We'll be talking about power rankings, and of course we'll just do a quick run-through of playoff predictions.
So let's take a look at this, jump right into things. We're going to take a step back in our time machine, going back to February 19th, 2020, where a lot of the beginning of the offseason started to shape up, where Nigel Bradham was cut.
Yeah. This was a really sad one for me. I think Bradham had that potential to be a leader, and he was a leader on our team as far as linebackers. He was clearly the best linebacker we had, and it was sad to see him go. Obviously, we have Nate Jerry, we got T.J. Edwards, we got in the draft Davion Taylor, Alex Singleton. We have a few of these guys. Look, they're not stars, but Nigel Bradham, he was very good. I think he was really good. Really sad to see him go. What do you think about that?
Chris, I think just, again, what you were just saying, how he was such a good, consistent player last year. We could rely on him. You could feel, yeah, okay, he wasn't the perfect linebacker, but he was such a good linebacker. He was a solid, reliable linebacker, Chris, and we utilized him, and he had a good year. He really did have a good year on this team, and I think, the next couple of years he could have done a lot better and progressed even more, especially with the younger guys that we have now. If he were around them, it would just do so much wonders for our team going forward. So it was really sad to see him go.
Yeah, it was. It's a big hit. That spot is weak as far as position.
So let's jump up ahead to March now, Chris, and on top of losing Bradham, the Eagles lost Camus Grugier-Hill, which is arguably our top linebacker last year.
Yeah, as you know, and I'll let the audience know here, Camus was one of my favorite players. He was recognized more in the Super Bowl year. Realized, really. And I think he had really, really good potential, and I wish he stayed in Philly. I loved him. Everyone knows the video of him crying in the locker room with Laurie, and after they won the Super Bowl, and it's just amazing. Like, it sucks to see him go and Bradham. That's what sucks.
If it was one or the other, Chris, I don't think I could pick right now on the spot, but, one would have been better than both, but lose both those guys is really going to hurt in the long haul, and I think it showed in the draft what they were trying to do, restock and retool with the linebackers, getting Davion Taylor, our project, essentially.
Yes.
But hopefully he turns out to be something down the line, but there's big shoes to fill in the linebacker position. Okay. So March 18th, Chris, was a very busy day.
Sad day.
A lot of players declared free agency. I'll just run down the list a little bit here.
Yeah.
We lost Big V. We lost Malcolm Jenkins, Vinnie Curry, Corey Clement, who we got back, and Rodney McLeod, who we all got back. So all in a span of a day, all these moving parts were going. Sudfeld as well, and Josh McCown was a free agent as well.
Yeah, so, and just to add, a big hit for me, Jordan Howard. Very sad about that. We had Ronald Darby. We had, Peters. Thank God there. Let's just say that. Jernigan is an interesting one for a second, because I think we're going to bring him back for depth. We should. Because we always need depth. But Aguilar, thank God he is gone.
Yeah, have fun in Oakland.
Where is he? Las Vegas, yeah.
I keep doing that.
We lost Darby to the Redskins. I cannot wait
That's gonna be
to
fun.
burn this piece of crap. Week 1, Jackson or Rager down the sideline, Darby on coverage. I can't wait for that. But look, overall, it was a big day of losses. Some happy about, Aguilar, maybe even Peters, a little happy. It was bittersweet that he's gone. But very big hits. Jordan Howard and Camus both going to the Dolphins.
Howard was a big
and we would be stupid if we didn't talk about Malcolm Jenkins.
Yep, just about to say
So
that.
what do you have to say about Malcolm,
Chris,
being gone?
What can you not say? There's so much to say about Malcolm, and he was such a great player just because of how many snaps he played, bro.
Yep.
He was out there every single snap. He played special teams and defense most games. He was there for at least, I think, 99% of snaps last season, he played. And to lose a guy who can do that and have that durability for all 16 games is incredible. And to lose that, you hope Jalen Mills turns out to be some kind of player like that. I don't think McLeod's going to be that player. Or maybe, another guy, we'll get to his name a little bit later, Kayvon Wallace. Could
that's what I was going to mention,
He talks a lot about Brian Dawkins being an inspiration to Wallace in his game and how he learned to play football. So to lose Jenkins, Chris, and the leadership that I'm probably going to be talking about all summer long, I think was huge. And he was so much about this team and defense and Philadelphia. He embraced the city so much. He wanted to be his home. He still actually lives here. He hasn't moved officially to New Orleans yet because of the pandemic going on.
I don't blame him anyway. It's a crappy
either.
city. But yeah, I see why they got rid of him, wanting to focus on the future with Mills and then drafting Wallace. But he was a lot of people's new Weapon X. He was the new Brian Dawkins. I'm getting chills even thinking about it, not even saying his speech at the NFC Championship game, saying all year they done told you what you couldn't do, what you couldn't be, because we were the underdogs. I just got chills. Because we were the underdogs in all those playoff games in our Super Bowl year, and his speeches were amazing.
He was the leader in this team, and Malcolm Jenkins was the Brian Dawkins of this era as far as the team. He wasn't, on the team, Chris, for that long like Dawkins was. But he was that Brian Dawkins player that we needed in the right time, and we needed it so much. And Malcolm came through and really embraced that role and became the Dawkins when we needed him most.
Yeah, and like you kind of said, Wallace. I'm hoping Wallace gives good speeches, because even though that's not important, but I just love those speeches from Dawkins.
Yeah, just to keep moving on here, we had a lot of transactions going on March 18th. It was a very busy day, as we mentioned. A lot of them already, but I think Big V is another one we could touch on because he provided so much depth for this O-line, and maybe we have it now, but I think Big V just was able to come in and play so many different other positions and help protect Wentz in every way possible. Now it's going to be up to Dillard and the new 6th round pick Prince Tega. Matt Pryor, Jack Driscoll, the new
Pryor's pretty good.
Malata, we'll see if he gets playing time. So we'll see. Now it's going to be Isaac Seumalo, which I like having.
He's good. He's
Big
all right.
V instead, but I think Seumalo is good. He did a lot of good things. He played in a lot of key roles over the last couple of years. So to lose Big V was big. And then Chris, the next day, dude, it was the biggest day in a little
happy
while.
News. Happy news came along in the next few days.
And why don't you tell us what that was again to refresh our memories?
So, first I'll just touch on Ridgeway we re-signed, which was good, and Mills re-signed, moved to safety, so we were all happy there. The next day, we signed lockdown corner from the Detroit Trashy Lions, Darius Slay. And this was such a huge transaction. I am so happy we got him. I think we gave up a 3rd rounder next year and a 5th rounder. And I was like, that's it? For Slay? I thought we stole him. I mean, maybe not a steal, but it was a good deal.
And there were so many
very good deal.
Dude, about where he was going to end up around this time. I remember it very much. And to see the news come across that the Eagles got Slay for a 3rd and a 5th, I think that was a steal. And it was just to correct you, it was the 3rd and the 5th from this
year
draft.
Yep. Okay,
so
gotcha.
It was worth it. I thought the 5th round was from next year, but I think it was this year. I'm
sure
it was. So Slay is going to be a great player. We got him.
I'm so excited.
Deal, and they signed him too.
Yeah.
So that was a great thing we did, and really a good part of the early off season back in early March or mid March.
Yeah. I think the top thing we'll see here is we really address the defense, which I cannot wait for. that we address the defense through free agency and offense a lot through the draft. So we see we got yes, we see we got Will Parks a few days later. Philly Will, I can't lie, I didn't really know a lot about him when we first signed him, but after watching
you
videos,
were the one that told me his nickname's Philly
right,
Will, so
right,
I thought that was awesome.
yeah,
Bring him home.
just the way he lives in the city, and I think he as soon as like I love when players are excited for signing for a team, and he just fully embraced being an Eagle right away. You can look on his Instagram, his Twitter. I'm very excited about Philly Will and Slay, and then the same day we get Jatavis Brown, which I thought is huge. Nobody's talking about this. He was on, I think, the Chargers last year.
Yep.
This guy's good, okay? He is good. I played him in Madden Franchise League, and he was on my team. And look, it's just that's a video game, but that's who I kind of learned about him through. That's what I learned about him through.
He's a small linebacker, Chris.
Yeah.
Only at 5'11", but he's
right.
212. You know, so I would say an average size for a linebacker. Jerry's 230, just to compare him to Jerry for a second. But I think there's so much good things you can watch on film of Jatavis Brown. I know I watched a video recently. It may have been a week or two ago on an Eagles YouTube channel. I think it's called Philadelphia Eagles Now if you want to check it out on their YouTube channel. I think there's a video of him, and he broke down some game film of Jatavis Brown, and I think he could fit in with the system really good. He's a young guy, but he brings a veteran presence. The Chargers have had a good defense the last couple of years, Chris, so we know he's coming from at least a good system. And I think he could be a real impact player on this team.
Yeah, I look at him as the new, almost like the new Bradham, in my opinion.
Yeah, you could say so. We only got him and Philly Will in a one-year deal, though, so hopefully they prove themselves here, and I wouldn't mind extending them from there.
Yeah, and I'll just introduce him here. March 25th, we signed to, I believe, one-year contract?
Yeah, it was.
Hopefully we pick him up again, but for another year at least. Nickel Roby Coleman from the Rams. Okay, the pass interference, no pass interference calls against the Saints. That's where everybody knows him from. If you haven't recognized the name, that's who it is. This guy is really good.
Yeah.
I think he's going to start over any of our, well, next to Slay, over any of our rookies at first. He's not the guy who has these stats that jump out, but he can read things so well. What's your opinion on it? Because we know mine now, but what do you feel?
Chris, I think he's going to soar on this team, and I think if he's put in the right position, that's what's going to come down to. I think he will have a lot of veteran leadership on this team, coming at 28 years old. So he's been around teams, he's played in the big games. So you know, that's what we need, a guy to play in the big key moments of big games. You know, call or no call, whatever you want to go and lean towards. He still made a play at the end of it, and it kind of is changing the league the last couple of seasons on what the calls are these days. But again, not a ton of big stats jump out to you when you first look at him, because I think Slay would be the one to hopefully be that guy to do that. Coleman will just be that shutdown nickel corner. Again, no pun intended on the name, but it's probably going to happen a lot with him.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be a good fit, and if Jim Schwartz puts him in the right position, and he communicates with his teammates, that's really important. He's got to come in and mesh with these teammates. And Chris, of course, the offseason hasn't been what the players wanted to. So having these new players, maybe hopefully get a full training camp together at the least.
I would hope,
had a mini camp or anything like that.
Yeah.
Get a full training camp to get accustomed to each other and playing. That could be a really good sign, and hopefully Coleman will fit right in.
Yeah, and we all know, look, we have our division rivals, Redskins, Giants, and those games are always hard even though they suck. And the Rams weren't all that good last year, but you got to remember, we play the NFC West this year, and Roby Coleman, that's his division. So he has that experience of, playing against Garoppolo, playing against all those wide receivers that they have, the Seahawks. Think about Wilson. We suck against him. Think about Metcalf last year in the playoff game, how he roasted us. He ate us alive.
Yeah,
and Roby Coleman's kind of used to the NFC West, and that's what we play. So, I mean, maybe that'll give us an advantage.
Into the link this year.
Yep.
So, that'll be great to see him against his former team.
Yes, that's exciting.
So, if he, can, help us game plan for that, that's going to be really awesome.
Yeah.
He has a great familiarity with those teams and those receivers out there, not only on the Rams, but as well as the big guys like in San Francisco as well. Can't forget about those. That is a completely different team than it was last year already.
Yeah.
So if he comes in, man, and does his job, that's it. He doesn't have to be flashy. Just do your job and come in.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so we're going to take our first time out here on our second episode of the Brothers of Broad Street. Stay tuned. More to come of the offseason overview, and we'll get to our NFL playoff predictions as well as the power rankings. Stay tuned. More Brothers of Broad Street coming up right after this short timeout. Hey everyone, I want to tell you how my brother and I were able to make a podcast so easily. It was all thanks to the Anchor app. With creation tools such as transitions that add effects that allow you to seamlessly go from segment to segment, and my personal favorite feature, the listener messages, where you and your audience can interact and get to know each other on a different level. Not only is Anchor an app, but you can access all their features on your laptop or desktop as well by visiting anchor.fm. But I bet you are worried, how and where can I upload my podcast? With Anchor, you won't have to stress, as they will distribute your podcast for you to places such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and so many more. The app is free to download. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app today or visit anchor.fm to get started. Welcome back, everyone, to the Brothers of Broad Street. Chris, let's look at the NFL draft. Let's go back in time, and this was a interesting draft to say the least. We didn't get to cover it too much on our first episode when we broke down the week-to-week schedule. If you haven't listened to that, go back and listen to that episode. You'll love what we have to say about the game-by-game predictions to that. But Chris, let's look and break down the Eagles' 2020 NFL draft. We'll start at the top, of course.
Wonder who this is.
Pick 21. It was Jalen Reagor going in the first round out of TCU.
Yes. It's basically the shot heard around the world. The pick heard around Philly. Everyone knows his name. He loves Lucky Charms. He's the little leprechaun, Jalen Reagor. Look, we were really hard on this pick. When we first saw it, we were all furious in our house, and he's growing on me. I'll say that. I love his speed. I can see why they picked it. He has the possibility to be a number one wide receiver. Not this year, I don't think. But, look, he is versatile, and I know we throw that term around a lot in Philly, and especially Howie and our coaches, it seems. But he's good at handoffs. He's good at down-the-field catches. He's good at punt returns, kick returns. I know he shouldn't be a special teams player, but the more I look at it, the more I like him. There were better options at number one for round one. But I like it.
Yeah, Chris, I mean, he has a 4.47 speed. He didn't run well at the combine, and I think he could come off as faster than that. A lot of people are saying that.
Yeah, 4.28, I think, or something he ran at his own place.
He had a freshman as a quarterback in his final year.
One of the worst quarterbacks out there.
And he was 40% of the TCU offense came from Reagor.
Yeah. If we can target him it's all about how we use him. And Wentz is a top 5 QB in the league, in my opinion. And him with Wentz, I think they're going to go off. He's going to love it. They're both going to love it.
Now, Chris, would you agree or disagree with this? Feel free to either one. His ceiling is compared to Brandon Cooks. Reagor needs to fine-tune his releases at the line of scrimmage to avoid getting overpowered, which I'm worried about. Until then, he'll compete as a low-volume downfield weapon with the ability to excel in returning both kicks and punts from day one.
Okay, I could see that. Look, we shouldn't get too overhyped. I feel like I might be. He's not going to be DeAndre Hopkins. He's not going to be Michael Thomas, Devontae Adams. But Brandon Cooks is a pretty good high ceiling. That's a good ceiling. I think he put on a lot of weight. Well, not a lot. He put on some weight to make sure he doesn't get pushed around as much, which was nice to see, but I agree with most of that. I could see a lot of that.
Yeah, I mean, the ceiling is, let's see what he does, how he's used and stuff, and a lot of these guys in the draft are going to be, let's wait and see, because a lot of them are projects. That was the story of the draft. We talked about it together on draft night, and we talked about it with our dad and our friends and such since then. So we'll see what Reagor turns out to be. I'm sure Chris will have to say a lot about him through the summer and building up to opening day on September 13th. All right, then the second round, Chris, we know we got Jalen Hurts. There's so much we could say about this. Let's try to limit as much as we can so we can get through all these picks here.
We have a lot to get through.
Jalen Hurts, the big surprise of the draft, as everyone knows by now. Oklahoma quarterback, but started his career at Alabama. then lost his job to Tua, who came in the national championship game and took over and led Alabama to the championship game. But Jalen Hurts came in with Lincoln Riley in his senior year, his last year of eligibility, and led Oklahoma to a pretty solid year overall. He finds himself drafted at 53 and backing up Carson Wentz now. I just love Hurts, Chris. We talked about it. We love Hurts as a person and a player, but at 53 on the Eagles, it's questionable because we don't know where he's going to fit in.
Right, and just briefly, I do love Jalen Hurts. He's a starter caliber kind of talent, in my opinion. You know, we were all saying, oh, he'll go to the Packers or the Steelers or something. And then we draft him? Really? Look, I love him and the idea of having a really solid QB to develop. You know, we're a quarterback factory now behind Wentz and having him behind Wentz. But at 53 in round 2, really, that's what hurts the most.
Good pun there too, bud. But
Yeah.
We'll see. I'll just want to end it all on my side with this, that if you want to follow up, you can, Chris. But having a backup quarterback other than Sudfeld, that's where I'm kind of starting to open up to the idea.
Exactly.
I like Sudfeld. I don't think, he's the best backup in the world. No, I like Hurts to see what they'll do. There's so much gadget we can do now with this offense. I'm sure everyone you've heard what the things could do in this offense with Hurts and Wentz and Miles and all our weapons now. And if he's our backup, if he's our actual number 2 and he wins the second job, Chris, who knows what could happen, if Wentz went down, and Hurts is going to come in, or is it going to be Sudfeld,
Yes, exactly.
All right, we'll move on to our 3rd round pick. Chris, glad we got the position,
Another
but
project.
questionable player. Davion Taylor, the linebacker out of Colorado. And Chris, there's a lot to say about him because there's little to know about him. Coming in at only 6 foot and 228, he's a high school kid, developmental player. He was a track star. He was used in the slot where he took on tight ends and slot receivers a lot and running backs. A little inconsistent, below average vision. So it's a project. And do you think Davion Taylor can fit in the long-term plans with this team, though?
It's really hard to see. He's very physical. He's very athletic, but I don't know if he will be a good good linebacker per se for many years to come. I don't think he's gonna be this legend at linebacker, but we'll take all the help we can get. I think he'll be really good at special teams. He's just good. It's special teams, you have to be real physical. You have to get after him. You have to have high energy, and he is proven to have all of that from what I've seen about him.
Yeah, from what we've seen on tape, which is good. He's good in coverage. Backer maybe in a sub package if given enough reps, he can really learn the position. And it goes back to what we were just talking about, Bradham and Camus Grugier-Hill. If we had a guy like this with those guys, with him learning from those guys, Chris, I would feel a little bit better.
Yeah.
But now he's learning pretty much, from all the young guys together on his own almost. And through Jim Schwartz, so I just hope he can pick it up, and he might be a 5-year guy where we start seeing production from him, and to me that might be a little bit too long. All right, moving on. This is the meat of the draft. I think mine as well.
Yeah.
Kevon Wallace out of Clemson, the safety, a.k.a. hopefully the heir apparent to Brian Dawkins in this city.
Wolverine,
we can only hope, and he's going to be wearing the number 42
Yep.
in honor of Kobe Bryant, except 24 backwards, so he
Exactly.
chose 42. It's a great idea and a great honor for him to do that. Chris, what do you think about Kevon Wallace?
Like I just said, my favorite pick in the draft. I remember sitting upstairs with you, on the TV, and we're just kind of going through, okay,
Yeah, it was
Eagles
a
are up.
Saturday
Yeah.
pick. No, it was Friday night.
Yep.
Friday night.
And I just remember, okay, here we go, round 4. Oh my God, Wallace is still out there? I remember being so ecstatic and hearing so much about him. I was shocked he was even still there. And I just think Wallace, I don't think he's going to start a lot this year. Sit behind Mills, sit behind Rodney.
Play some special teams,
Exactly,
maybe.
yeah. He has so much of a high ceiling. He was amazing on Clemson, of course. Clemson was one of the top teams in the league. And I just think that he has a lot of skills. If you go look at his highlights, he's not this basic safety. He has the potential to be the new Weapon X, for real.
And Chris, he had that advantage where he played a lot of tough competition playing for Clemson. He was in the championship games. He won a national title under Dabo Swinney. He was one of the best on the best defensive team with Brett Venable as his D coordinator. So it's a great mind to learn from in a college setting right now. Brett Venable has done some incredible things with the players he's gotten over the last few years with him and Dabo together. And Chris, last year, Kevon only allowed 5.9 yards per target in coverage, Chris, and arguably he was overshadowed by Isaiah Simmons in this draft because of how much flexibility Isaiah Simmons had. Wallace offers a complete competitive package, I think. His instincts are incredible, and I know he's going to work from day one. And hopefully he can find a spot on this team very, very soon.
Like I just kind of mentioned, he's not going to start over Mills. But I think he's going to, just to go back, kind of just popped in my head, the Vikings took who we passed up on, Justin Jefferson.
And Jefferson and LSU and that Clemson game, that was such a great title game.
That is amazing. I can't wait to play the Vikings. I believe we'll play them in
probably
2 years.
2 years, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Unless we get them next year on, the position ranking for the schedule. But look, Wallace, he's a total package, in my opinion. It's that simple.
And Chris, I think he again slipped. There was people saying he should have gone in the second or third round. For him to fall to our laps in the fourth round was incredible, and I'm so glad we did. All right, we're going to speed through these middle round picks here. Jack Driscoll, great. We needed the offensive tackle depth. Him being at Auburn, I was happy with that. We needed an offensive tackle. I think this is a great pick here.
Guy,
He's a big guy, big man, physical, playing in the SEC. I think that's really good. And then, Chris, a lot you want to talk about here with our fifth round selection. Let's actually start with the big news that broke on that Saturday afternoon that I was actually watching it in my room, and then I was yelling down to you. I think you and I came and met each other at the stairs. Marquise Goodwin was traded on this day for a fifth-round pick, and this also led to John Hightower, the receiver of Boise State, being selected by the Eagles, going back to the drafted one and traded for one. And, Chris, what do you think of both of these guys together?
Well, look, we were dying for drafting a wide receiver other than Lucky Charms Jalen Reagor. I love that we got Goodwin kind of being that, not replacement, but a second to Deshaun Jackson, basically. And then also we got Hightower because we wanted so bad to get that height and that big guy that Jeffrey just throw it and go and get it. And he's fast, which is great. And I think we really needed speed, and we are just going to be flying, fly, Eagles, fly. I love John Hightower. I hope he makes the team, and I love Goodwin. I hope he stays healthy.
And Hightower, Chris, at 6'2", he's one of our bigger receivers. He's not that Lucky Charm, small size, leprechaun. He has a big size, and he was a big part of that Boise State offense. He had 81 catches against Mountain West competition. Yeah, he played in the Mountain West, and doesn't stand out too much. It doesn't get a lot of attention in the national media spotlight, but he still played fairly well. And to me, he could be, those guys that we talk about, the jet sweeps, the end arounds, the gadget receiver in our offense. And, he ran so fast. And, he's kind of like an underdeveloped Will Fuller, maybe behind Deshaun and Reagor and Goodwin. And I think he could fit right in as maybe a number 5 guy, maybe. Maybe he battles with JJ and Greg Ward, and, they bring out the best of in each other.
Yeah, this guy was I was watching the highlights. This dude's returning punts at 6'2", and he's only 172 pounds. He's real thin. He doesn't have a big body.
Yeah, and that's why he was a day 3 pick.
Exactly, yeah. But you just look at this guy. He's out there jumping up, getting the ball. He's running jet sweeps. He's punt returning, kickoff returning. So I see a lot of potential there.
And when he's in the open field, Chris, just not to cut you off there.
And he's gone. Yeah.
I'm very excited about this pick, and hopefully he makes the team.
Yeah.
All right, so this was my favorite pick.
Yeah.
Well, not my favorite, but a little biased pick. The 6th round Eagles drafted linebacker Sean Bradley out of Temple. Shout out to all the Owls out there. Owls are everywhere these days. Temple made Temple proud. Sean Bradley, I got the privilege to watch for the 3 years I attended Temple. And he is an incredible player, Chris. You haven't watched him too much compared to I. He is just a ball hawk guy who will fly to the ball, cover sideline to sideline. He can be when he's given a leadership role, he loves to be a leader, and I saw that in him. He was a very strong voice and leader in the locker room. I got to interview him a couple times while I was at Temple when I was doing some packages and stuff like that for classes. He's a great human being, and I think for him to come home to play in his home feel the link is a great story, and I hope he can, he'll be a special teams guy at first, but hopefully he'll develop into something more down the line because we need linebacker depth, of course.
Yeah, you said it all. I love that we really addressed every position that we needed in the draft. I do like that pick.
So we'll move on to a second 6th-round pick. 4 picks later, another awesome receiver. I didn't know enough about him, but when you saw the film on draft night, Chris, on draft afternoon or day, really, that Saturday, you couldn't have helped be impressed, and that was Quez Watkins out of Southern Miss.
Yes, to say 2 words, he's electric. He is absolutely electric. You watch him, he's like lightning. Look up all his highlights. Everybody. Look, I don't know much about him, like you kind of said. You don't either, but everyone is saying all over YouTube highlights, all these draft insights, he is a steal. So, I mean, it might be up between Watkins and Hightower who makes the team. But, we'll see how it goes in training camp.
Maybe we'll just have a 40-yard dash again and see whoever runs can make the team.
Yes, just do it. Let's do it.
He ran a 4.3 at the combine, undersized at 185, but at 6'2", he's measured out about. So him and Hightower coming at the same height, that could really be great. I think another deep threat and a great day 3 steal, and he'll compete for a final spot this summer.
Yep.
And it's going to be really funny, Chris. Another side thing, too, to just go back to Jalen Hurts. Are we going to see Jalen Hurts thrown to these guys in the preseason, and how funny that will be?
It will be very entertaining. I'm looking forward to see how we use Hurts. I hope he gets a lot of playing time in preseason, honestly.
A third 6th-round pick, the Eagles got Prince Tega out of Auburn, and he was a great story, Chris. Another offensive tackle out of Auburn. Again, another SEC guy, and he is something I think really underrated.
He's a beast.
And a guy who fell to us in the 6th round.
He's a beast. He is 6'7", 305 pounds. Prince Tega, he has a great story, obviously, as you said. He has injury problems. I believe it's his kneecaps. Just they don't exist, pretty much. But he has a lot of potential, and that's what it is. We got a lot of these projects, potential, high ceiling kind of guys. So I like.
Pan out,
we do need some depth there at offensive tackle. Our guys are getting up there in age. But what do you have to say?
Yeah, I mean, in his 6th-round pick, Chris, I don't think it was a bad selection there. He has athleticism, toughness, and character that any of the guys in Philadelphia will like. And if he just works hard, I think he'll earn his spots. And, it sucks to say, Chris, I hate to say it, honestly, that our O-line isn't that young anymore. Right. So we needed to start. This was the year we had to start building the next couple drafts to retool our offensive line. We will, and hopefully that'll be next year.
Yeah.
A lot of question marks, too, with Prince Tega. But, I think now while he's still got the guys on the teams like the Kelseys and the Brandon Brooks and the Lane Johnson and Dillard and Sayamalu even, I'll even say, he can learn a lot from these guys, and I think hopefully he'll be a good player for years to come.
Yep.
And our last pick, we don't know too much about him, is another project player, was a 7th-round pick, Casey Toohill out of Stanford, outside linebacker. Chris, did you know anything about him before the draft?
I'll just say it. I have no idea who this is. I hope he's good. Look, obviously, I just hope every player we draft is good. I don't know much about him. Do you have anything to add?
I mean, he's just a big guy. He's a 6'4" guy at 247, so he's a big kid. He struggled a lot with injuries the first couple years at Stanford. But he drew attention for his academic work, so, he'll work hard, and maybe he'll be able to absorb playbooks and learn things. Might be a good linebacker in the special teams, and he'll have to earn his way if he wants to make the team in the preseason. So we'll see what he can do this preseason. So that'll about wrap it up for our draft picks. We're going to step aside and reset. Chris, still a lot to talk about, bro. Coming up, what do we got coming up still?
Interesting. We have 90 days out from the season. We're going to be doing NFL Power Rankings, reviewing on multiple different sites, seeing where the Eagles rank amongst other NFL teams, AFC and NFC, and then we're going to be doing a little quick and fun, just playoff predictions.
And welcome back, everyone, to the Brothers of Broad Street. Nick and Chris here. We did our offseason overview so far and went through the NFL draft and what the Eagles cut and traded for and everything. It's been a crazy offseason in these times, and the players still have yet to get back together in full teams and coaches. So hopefully in the next coming weeks they can do so and they can start being together and start working out. So we'll stay tuned and check in on that as the weeks continue on. But Chris, one thing we wanted to do is very important that we almost forgot about. There's still a lot of key free agent names out there looming, and the Eagles have been connected to a lot of them. There's running backs, linebackers, D tackles, a lot of different positions the Eagles might want to look into. So where do you think the Eagles should go if they want to spend any money towards any of these free agents?
Well, let's look at the clown himself, Jadeveon Clowney. He's on Seattle. He was on Seattle. We'll see if he re-signs. He's out there. He's 27. We have Josh Sweat, though, and a lot of Philly fans will know it's Jadeveon Clowney 2.0. His stats are extremely similar, and he's basically paid for nothing compared to Clowney. So we have that. We got Logan Ryan, which is a top corner out there right now from Tennessee. I would love to get that. You know, we don't need it per se, but I would just love to have him.
Yeah.
Another free agent, big one, Everson Griffin from Minnesota. He's 32. He's a little older. We have Barnett. You know, we have Graham, but it would be kind of nice. We don't have a fantastic backup. I mentioned Sweat. I think we have Deshaun Hall, but Griffin's out there. We got Josh Gordon, Mr. Weed.
Yeah.
He's out there. Who else we got? We got, of course, Devontae Freeman, running back from Atlanta.
Which the Eagles have been connected to most
now. Yeah, very connected.
I wouldn't mind that, just to say that. It's another small guy, but we already got a lot of small guys and running backs. So to put Freeman in there, like, I would love that, but I just don't know where he would fit on the depth chart.
Right, yeah. I think he wants to be a starter. We could bring in Shady, obviously.
That's another name.
LaShawn McCoy, just to have that veteran running back. We have the three real young guys, Scott, Sanders, and Clement. But it would be nice to bring in McCoy or any veteran running back.
Just to mentor the young guys. I
yeah.
think it'll really help this locker room.
It will.
And, you know, even if Shady or Devontae would only be here for a year, that's 1 year they could help. You know, maybe if we don't win anything this year, Chris, but, you know, maybe in the next year or next 2 years or something, get back to the promised land.
Yeah, and we got Jason Peters. Okay, please don't sign him. Please don't.
I think they will.
They probably will, but I just want Dillard to have that spotlight. I think he has a lot of potential there, and he could take a leap. Then we got Timmy Jernigan. You know, he's out there. He is not officially signed. I think it would be great to bring him back. Our D-line is going to be fantastic this year, and I am in love with the D-line. I believe even Vinny Curry's out there still somewhere. Yep, Vinny Curry. So we got Clay Matthews. I mean, there's a lot of people. Of course, Nigel Bradham. A lot of free agents, a lot of potential candidates being a Philadelphia Eagle.
And I'm looking, Chris, would you be happy or sad if they sign someone? Would it be happy if they don't sign them? Would you be angry or sad or anything like that? Does it really matter at this point?
It depends on how much you're paying or giving up or whatever.
Yeah.
But, and how many years.
That's
think
true.
Sign a few people a 1 year deal. I think it just helps. Have him for this year. Like you said, have Shady for 1 year. I don't think you need much more than that. He won't ask for a lot of money. So, yeah, I'd be happy with anything, really.
All right. So, do you think, what position do you think they're most needed at this point? Because I know we would say they're deep at at running back, cornerback, you could say they're deep, you know, but D tackle if you're getting Clowney, or DN, excuse me, if you're getting Clowney. Do you think he really fits in, or do you think there's another position we could use?
I just think it would either have to be that veteran running back or a linebacker. I think just having a nice linebacker.
I think a linebacker would be great.
Yeah.
The right deal, you know, the right years and everything. If Howie can make some magic, I guess maybe in the next couple of weeks. I'm not too, you know, not excited. I'm not too positive that they're going to sign someone.
Yeah, they might not do anything.
They might not do anything, but once training camp gets going, there's injuries and stuff like that. Anything could happen. I mean, these guys could be free agents for a while. But I would like to see them do something just to get depth. We need depth, and I think
we do.
They always address that a lot in other positions this offseason. But you can't ever have too much of everything, you know?
Yep.
All right, Chris, so we'll move on from that. We'll hopefully keep you posted on free agents. If there's anything major that happens over the coming weeks, we'll be sure to talk about it right here on the Brothers of Broad Street. But for now, Chris, we'll dive into the power rankings, and we'll start with the Pro Football Talk power rankings. Looking at their number one spot, of course, we both know where they're going.
Yeah.
It's the world champion Kansas City Chiefs as the number one spot.
Yeah, and I have my own kind of list just to base my opinion off, and obviously Chiefs are number one for pretty much everyone.
Yeah, and then we'll just kind of I'll go back and forth between all of them. I also have Bleacher Report up in ESPN, and Bleacher Report obviously Kansas City is number one, and of course on ESPN. So Kansas City is a clear number one across the board. But the number two, Chris, might surprise a lot of people because it seems to be different.
Yeah.
Number two on Bleacher Report is Baltimore.
Okay.
And they are number two as well on Pro Football Talk. But a number two on ESPN. Oh, I'm going the wrong way here. It's Baltimore. Okay, so it's Baltimore.
Okay, so yeah.
1 and 2. Okay.
I would say, yeah, I agree with that. I also have the Ravens. It seems that the football world agrees Chiefs Ravens are the top two. Let's see, number 3. That could differ quite a lot.
Now, this is where it does differ,
yeah,
surprisingly, so I'll keep it on ESPN here. They are going with the 49ers at number 3.
And I would disagree with that, and I'll get into it later.
Okay, good. Number 3 on Bleacher Report is the 49ers.
Okay.
And then on Pro Football Talk, I believe they have the 49ers. No, they went in different direction.
Different.
They got the Saints, Chris.
Okay.
I don't like that.
I don't like it at all, but I also don't like the 49ers being there. My personal list, it is the Chiefs, Ravens, Saints.
Okay.
4, I have Seahawks. 5, I have Niners. I think the Niners are going to take a step back. Look, everybody who has a good defense takes a step back. Look at the Jaguars. Look at the Bears. You lost the Super Bowl. Look at the Eagles in 2018. They went from 13-3 to 9-7.
Yeah.
Okay. Look,
barely made the wild
Niners
card
are
game.
really. Yep. Niners are really good, but I think they're definitely going to take a step back. They're not top 3 in my opinion.
And you got to look at these lists now. They're all opinionated, and we're giving your opinion right here on the Brothers of Broad Street. But you got to look at in the 2020 season and San Francisco. I can understand that because they were in the title game, maybe deserve to be in the 3 spot. But the Saints right now might be the number 3 best team in the NFL. And it sucks to say, Chris, from our vantage point.
They're good every year.
Any Philly sports fan, really, in general, they're good every year.
Yeah.
But San Francisco deserves to be there, but they're not. So, all right, we'll keep going here. In the number 5 spot is the Buccaneers. And this is according to Pro Football Talk. That is a shocker. Yeah, they did a lot this offseason, Chris. But to jump them up to number 5 is questionable. I disagree there, just because they got Tom Brady.
Me too.
And Gronk, and their team on paper looks good. So again, I understand it. All right, on Bleacher Report, they have the Seahawks as number 5. I can understand that they made the playoffs. Lost in the NFC Championship game last year to the 49ers, so we can understand that. And then on ESPN in number 5, we have the Seahawks as well, and the Saints are 4. Okay.
So those top 5, it seems everyone kind of agrees with. I would say
the teams are there. The order might be a little different, but the top 5 teams are there.
Yeah.
All right, we'll go and look about the Eagles.
This is
We'll make a couple notables. The Titans are 8 on ESPN. Tampa Bay 7 on ESPN. The Vikings coming in at 9 on ESPN, and the Dallas Cowboys are number 10. They'll round up the top 10. So Dallas is 10. Minnesota 9. Chris. Tennessee is 8. Tampa Bay is 7. And the Green Bay Packers are 6 on ESPN.
So let's just look at ESPN. Why are the Packers 6? I think they're basing it off who made it further in the playoffs and everything, and that just doesn't make sense.
Packers, the Bills are 11.
So and the Bills need to be, for me, above the Packers. You're looking at just going into 2020. Don't talk about Aaron Rodgers being one of the greatest. Don't talk about the year that Cousins had last year. He had a great year, and he killed us last year. The Vikings are not top 10. I'd say they're right there, though. 11, 12. They are right there.
In, yep.
But especially the Cowboys, that makes me so mad. The Cowboys are above us.
Yeah.
And the Bills are behind the Cowboys, who they beat. The Bills beat the Cowboys. And we're behind the Bills, who we beat. So that makes zero sense to me.
I don't understand that logic. But, this is what we love to do is find controversy and break it down.
Yeah.
So looking at the Eagles now, we're not going to go through too many other teams at this point. But on ESPN, the Eagles are 12. Chris, do you really agree with that one? Because I know I don't. But maybe it is. I mean, they're not maybe a top 10 team, so maybe it is maybe a good spot actually. Now that I think about it.
Right, and I hate to talk about last year, but last year we were not a top 10 team. I think we have so much talent on paper, and yeah, we did last year as well, but we have so much potential to go top 10. This is my list. I'll just say Chiefs, Ravens, Saints, Seahawks, Niners. That's top 5. Bills 6, Eagles 7, Titans 8, Bucks 9, Cowboys 10.
You have to put
Eagles
the division
7.
winners ahead.
You
the
have
division
to
winners
have the
and the
Eagles
playoff
up
team
there.
have to be ahead of the teams who didn't make the playoffs, and I just don't understand that logic.
Look, Eagles are better than the Titans. Sorry, Eagles are better than the Cowboys. Eagles are better than the Packers and the Vikings. Now here I see the Vikings are 6.
Yeah, this is on Bleacher Report. The Vikings are 6, Chris.
Jeez,
and Dallas is 7.
Oh my God. Okay, are we being biased? Because look, the Vikings lost so many people, especially on defense. They lost Stephon Diggs. Yeah, they got Jefferson. Whatever. Okay, they stole him from. Well, they didn't steal him. We gave him up. And the Cowboys being 7 with a brand new head coach and virtually no defense. They lost their pass rusher and they lost Byron Jones.
Yeah, they got Diggs in the second round of the draft and CD Lamb, of course, who we haven't even talked about too much yet.
I don't want to. It's
but
painful.
we'll talk about it when the season gets closer.
Yeah.
But to see that, it doesn't make sense at all. Like how does one justify that team being a top 7 team going into 2020? I don't get it.
Yeah, and just saying back to that where the Eagles were 12, I believe, on ESPN. What do you think about them being 12? Do you have them higher, lower? What do you think?
Maybe they could be, they're definitely top 15, Chris. I'll say that. They're top 15. Easily, I think 12 is a good number.
Yeah.
Because they were in the playoffs. They won the division last year. And I'll just go back here, even if you want to see the other teams. Indianapolis is 13. The Steelers are 14.
I agree with that.
And the Patriots are 15.
Don't agree with that at all.
So I think 12 is a good spot looking at what the Eagles have behind them. Yeah, behind them.
Right.
I think that's a good spot. Yeah, they're maybe they deserve to be top 10, but I think 12 is a good safety net in between where it's not too much. The expectations aren't too high.
All right, good point. That's a good point. Maybe I like it. Where's this at?
So this is over Bleacher Report. So we have the Cowboys at 7 here, and the Packers at 8, and the Eagles come in at 9 here. So they're inside the top 10 now.
I like that better.
According to Bleacher Report.
I don't like the Cowboys 7, but I like our position better.
Indianapolis Colts are number 10 to round out the top 10 on Bleacher Report.
Okay.
So
I like that.
To think the Eagles top 9, this is a little bit different. Maybe you got the Packers in front of them. Somehow Dallas is in front of them. You could fit a lot of teams in front of Dallas, and I don't get that. And you got the Vikings at 6. I think right now this is a good spot for them. Between that 9 to 12 to 14 range, I think, Chris, would be safe to say.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. That's perfect, yeah.
All right, so we'll jump back over to Pro Football Talk now, and we'll look at their top 10. Seattle's 6. The Titans come in at 7 on Pro Football Talk.
Whoa!
Vegas Raiders coming in at number 8.
I just yelled, but I didn't expect that.
Wow.
Las Vegas Raiders 8?
Wow, that's shocking. They
added rugs, but
they did rugs.
They added a lot of pieces.
But I don't think they're not 8. I think they're going to be a 8-8, 9-7, 10-6 team if they get lucky. They have a very tough schedule, and still a very young team. Dallas Cowboys coming in at number 9.
Of course, another top 10.
Of course, and somehow the Pittsburgh Steelers to round out Pro Football Talk's top 10 of their power rankings.
Okay, look. Big Ben isn't going to fix all the issues. Let's just say that now. I have the Steelers at 15, and I think that's perfect for them. I have the Vikings ahead of them, the Texans, the Colts, the Packers. All teams should be ahead of them that I just named.
And I don't know why. So then on Pro Football Talkers, they got the Vikings at 11.
I still don't see the Eagles, which is weird.
And we're going to keep going
and we're
here.
behind the Packers, who we beat. Okay.
Packers at 12.
We're behind the Bills, who we beat. Oh, my God. I just want to
15. Eagles are 15 on Pro Football Talk. So, yeah, if you want to disagree with them, definitely look at their social media and voice your displeasure with that. Because I don't see how this team... I know I said, 9 to 15 would be good, but when you're putting these teams in front of the Eagles, this is where I can disagree with them being at 15. If you're putting different teams ahead of them, I can understand. But, see, then you got the Rams at 16. But
see, you got to look at... you can't just look at the Eagles' records being 9-7 to finish the season.
Yeah.
Because people who are doing these ratings, they don't really know. They didn't watch every week like we did. They just see that, and then they think, okay, around 15. Imagine if Aguilar caught the pass in Atlanta. Imagine if whoever fault it was in the Lions game caught It was a touchdown. I think maybe Goddard or JJ or
JJ,
someone.
I think it was.
Imagine if we won those 2 games. Suddenly we're 11-5. Looks a little better. We'll be in the top 10. I mean, you look at our team and the talent. We are top 10.
Yeah,
We're
I
not
think
15.
so.
You can't just look at the 9-7 because it was that close to being 11-5.
And a lot of experts are picking the Eagles to win the division this year. I see even a couple Cowboys, but the Eagles are still a favorite to win the division. And to me, if you're a favorite to win the division, then you should be a top 10 team as far as power rankings go. At least entering a season, Chris. Again, they filled a lot of holes, which we've covered tonight on what they've done this off season. So I think they really have to deserve a better spot than 15. And yeah, you know, they've had a couple struggling years coming out the gate. So maybe they're looking at, let's set the bar low, and, you know, once the games get going, let's see what the Eagles do. And they have a tough schedule. You know, there's a lot of factors that play into it. But when, you know, they've brought in so many guys like Hargrave and Darius Slay, and they drafted up and down, but they filled holes at the end of the day. I think the 15 is a little bit too much, maybe, with some of these teams ahead of them.
I mean, you made an excellent point saying let's lower our expectations and everything. It is good to lower our expectations, especially me, because I get really wild and stuff about these kind of things. But yeah, maybe okay. We're top 20, okay, and then let's just watch us go like 13-3, and then I'll be really happy. Okay, whatever.
Yeah. So I mean, that's just a couple power rankings from a couple sources. I think, Chris, this might change as the weeks go on and training camp starts. I would think these change. I can't see these articles changing too much. I do see these articles changing a lot in the summer months.
Yeah, come closer to kickoff, yeah.
And for
Which
now,
is
this
90 days away.
90 days away, guys, and we're excited. It all starts with the Chiefs and Texans on Thursday night.
Yep.
Thursday night, they'll start the
September
season in
10th,
Kansas City. They'll hopefully raise the banner and get the rings, and Andy Reid will, you know, finally get his opening weekend moment, and it'll look really special.
Yeah.
And again, it's really been a interesting build up to this off season, and how the players are handling training without really going to their team facilities this year, and it's been a really different style for them. So hopefully this is a good mark, and hopefully from this going forward, Chris, that 90-day mark, a lot of things can go back to normal soon, and a lot of players can get back into their team facilities in the next couple weeks here.
Yeah, I cannot wait.
All right, so we'll get ready to wrap things up, and I'll take power rankings for now. Chris, let's wrap things up with today's episode of our playoff predictions for the 2020 season. I'll have you start us off.
Okay, so this is going to be a quick version because we're doing 90 days. Maybe we'll do 60 or 30 or something closer to the season actual playoff predictions. But we're not going to go too in-depth of who could win, you know, division and this person could win that. But for me, I just have Ravens and Chiefs. You know, they could switch around top 1 and 2 seed. Ravens, Chiefs, Bills, Colts, Titans, Broncos. And we have a 7 seed now, and the Raiders. So I have the Ravens, Chiefs, Bills. Those are my top 3. I think they're just the top 3 teams in the AFC. And then I think the Colts and Titans will be fighting, and Broncos and Raiders will make it in. Texans can make it in. Browns can make it in, and Steelers definitely.
Yeah, I think there's always a team, Chris. I don't know who it's going to be this year. Maybe I'm hoping it's Cleveland, actually. Maybe it'll be the Chargers or the Broncos.
Yeah.
You know, the Steelers looking, you know, back at 2019. A lot of these teams were just on the cusp, and with the 7th seed now this season for the first time, it can make things a lot more fun come the end of the year, week 15, 16, and 17.
Yeah.
Could be a lot fun, and you'll have a lot of players playing for that 7th position for the AFC standings. But I think I'm gonna go 7-1. I'm gonna say the 7th seed for now is going to be, I'll say Denver. I think Denver's going to change. They had a really good draft, actually, and I think they're progressing upwards, hopefully, and I think they have what it takes this year to make the next step and maybe make a little playoff appearance this season. In the 6th position, I will say the Steelers.
Okay.
I think they're finishing 8-8 last year. I think they just missed it, and I think this year they kind of get back to getting into the playoffs. I don't think they'll make a long playoff appearance. So for 5, I'll have the Titans. I think the Titans are going to stay consistent. Derrick Henry's back. Yeah. I'll say Houston falls off a little bit. Houston will be the 5. What am I at? 4?
4, yeah.
Houston will stay the 4. And then Buffalo is going to be the 3.
Okay.
Yeah,
Buffalo's the 3.
I
That's
agree
one
with
of some of my
that.
bold
Yeah.
predictions. I'm going to change that later on. And I'll say Kansas City will be your 1 and Baltimore will be your 2.
Okay. Yeah, and remember the 1 is the bye. So no more with the 2 gets the bye, which is so important. The 2 will be playing the 7 now. So yeah, I agree with a lot of that. Like you kind of said, the Broncos could sneak in there. Think Broncos, Steelers, Raiders, Colts. They can all switch in and out. Texans. Those are those floaters. But I think at least those top 3, Bills, Chiefs, and Ravens, are a lock.
Maybe Colts too. You know.
Oh yeah.
Well, I'll change my picks as we get closer to the season.
Yeah, I have
maybe
the Colts
sneak
winning the
in with
division.
Phillip Rivers this year.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of viable teams that could go, Chris. Either way and fit in the 6-7 seed for this playoffs.
Yep. So
let's move on
let's
to the
talk about the
NFC,
NFC.
our
Here's where the
own
fun
conference.
begins.
This is the fun times, guys, and
yes,
this is kind of hard, but generally the NFC has stayed a little bit the same the last couple of years. There's been some teams coming in and out.
Yep.
So, Chris, I'll let you start us off with your whatever way you want to go, first or 7th.
I'll do it the way you did it. I like the way you did it. I'd say from 11 to 7 could be anybody.
Yeah.
11 I have the Falcons, then the Rams, then the Cardinals, then the Vikings at 8. They could all be the 7 or 6. All of those could be wild card teams. But 7 I actually have the Buccaneers, Tampa Bay Buccaneers with Tom Brady and Gronky. 6 I have Dallas sneaking in 10 and 6, which is a hint to who wins the NFC East there because they're the wild card. Seattle actually the 5th seed again, 12 and 4. I have the Green Bay Packers winning their division 10 and 6, and the Philadelphia Eagles getting the 3 seed, 11 and 5. Saints getting the 2 seed, and the Niners getting the 1 seed again. Even though I really think it could be Seattle getting the 1 seed this year.
It wouldn't surprise me at all,
could
to say the
flip-flop.
least.
But those are my top: Seattle Saints, Niners Saints, us Eagles, Packers, Seahawks, Cowboys, Gronk.
Buck.
Gronk.
Oh, Gronk. Okay.
Gronk and Brady.
All right. I like what you said there about the bottom half of the NFC, the 7 through 11. It could really be anybody. I don't think it's going to be Atlanta. I'm going to say for today, I'm going to say Chicago sneaks in as a 7th seed.
Okay.
And Mitchell Trubisky is not the quarterback. It's going to be Nick
who is it?
Foles.
That's right.
Going to be leading the Bears in the playoffs as a
That's right.
7th
Okay.
seed.
Interesting.
As your 6th seed, I think this could be a couple teams, but I'm going to say Green Bay.
Okay.
I think Rodgers has a good amount of weapons. They went 13-3 this year. I think their team's going to regress a little bit. It's a bold prediction, I would say, and maybe I'll change my mind later on. But Green Bay is going to be the 6th seed this year. I'll have the Vikings as the 5 seed, and I'll do the Seahawks as the 4. I'll keep the Eagles at 3. I like that. And then I will have San Francisco at 2 and the Saints at 1. And it pains me to say this, but I think it's going to happen this year.
Oh, no, don't.
And
Don't you?
no, I'm not going to say anything else.
All
I'm
right,
just going to say the Saints are going to be the 1 seed.
Which
Anything can happen in the NFL
sucks, 'cause,
playoffs.
the dome is so hard to play. But.
Yeah, and if we have to go through that, or maybe something happens like they get eliminated like they did last year against Minnesota, that would be fun. So we don't have to go through the dome again.
If we get the 1 seed, I'll give all of our listeners $100. I'll just
So if
say
you're
right
listening, you might want to start
now.
listening.
Like the video,
Chris,
I'll give you $100 if we get the 1 seed.
Well, you heard it here first, guys. On June 10th, Chris is offering $100 if we get the 1 seed to every listener. So
That's how confident I am. I mean, I remember last year, not to go off topic, we're kind of wrapping up, but I had bets with Nick here saying if we got, the 1 seed, I would sell my car, I would quit my job, I would leave my girlfriend. So I'm very confident we will not get the 1 seed, but I think we'll get top 3, I hope.
I think top 3 is a fair offer. Maybe it's too much high expectations, Chris, but I think for what they did this offseason, I think they're viable. I think the NFC could be wide open this year as far as 3 through 7. This team will win the NFC East this year. There's no doubt in my mind about it. It's just a matter of where they fall and the schedule and how they come and play their games, because they could be anywhere from a 3 to a 5. I don't think they're going to do anything worse than a 5 though this season. I think this is their ceiling.
They're going to be a division leader.
They'll have a division winner. They'll be a 3 or 5. I'm hoping they get another home playoff game, and other than that, we'll see. But all right, everyone, that will wrap things up for episode 2 of the Brothers of Broad Street, our 90-day NFL Kickoff countdown special. We covered a lot tonight, Chris. We went through the offseason overview, our playoff predictions, and the NFL power rankings as they stand today. So check us all out. Thank you for listening, everyone. We'll come back with a brand new episode in the coming week, so stay tuned for that. Hopefully sooner rather than later, not as long as layoff as this time, Chris. We can only hope that, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
So, again, make sure to listen to us on Spotify, the Anchor app. It's free to download, so check it out today and listen to us and many other podcasts. There's plenty of other Philly sports podcasts. Give everyone a chance. And us creators, we love to hear feedback from you guys. As well as YouTube. Leave comments in the YouTube video. And if you're watching on YouTube, like, share, and subscribe. And thank you, everyone, as well as Apple Podcasts. Wherever you get your podcasts today, you can follow us and find us there. But for now, that will do it for us. I'm Nick.
I'm Chris.
And we are the Brothers of Broad Street. And Chris, I got 2 words for you. Go Birds!